I promised JC I wouldn't tell this story. But JC seems to love this story. So I'm going to start with this story. JC and I have known each other, about 5 years, 4 or 5 years? We met on the National RIA Cruise about 4 years ago when I had just started speaking. For those of you that don't know what National RIA is a national organization that oversees about 220 local RIAs like Metrolina, okay? And they hold a cruise every year so that the board members of all these various RIAs can go and check out some new speakers to bring to you and the RIAs. Does that make sense? Okay, so here I am, a relatively new speaker, and I'm very fortunate to get invited to speak on this National RIA Cruise. I'm all excited, and I'm getting ready to do my talk. And as many of you who were here early saw that we were setting up, and I was getting the computer ready, and I was doing the same thing on the cruise. And all of a sudden, I bent down to do something with the computer, and my pants split right down the middle. Well, I'm on a cruise. I brought one suit. Here I was in front of all these presidents and board members of all these RIAs, and I had to do the presentation with my back end hanging out. So, when JC called and invited me back up, I said, thank you, yes, I would be happy to. He then calls my assistant, Danielle, and says, please make sure Chris brings an extra pair of pants. And so I did. But it is a pleasure to be back up here. I want to thank Chad, the president, and the other board members, and JC for having me back. As I said, I was here about 2 years ago, and we had a very successful evening and an even more successful Saturday, which we're going to have again this year. And one of the reasons JC asked me back is because what we're going to talk about tonight is different than anything you've ever heard. It's different than what other investors are doing. Tonight we're going to talk to you about doing things a little bit differently, doing things from a slightly different perspective so that you can be successful and you're not fighting with all the other investors who are looking for the same thing. Understand that the reason you're here tonight is because you want something different in your life. You want something to change. You want a better life. You want more money. You want more time. You want more time with the grandkids, more time with your family and your friends and vacations and whatever it is. You want something a little different. And if you want something different, you have to do something different. If you're not willing to take action, if you're not willing to do something different, if you're not willing to get out of the habits you've had in the past, then you're wasting your time here tonight. You see, the decisions you made 5, 10, 15 years ago have caused you to be in the place here tonight. The decisions you make here tonight will determine where you end up 5, 10, 15 years from now. You see, you all want this dream of financial independence. And I'm here tonight to tell you that the American dream of financial independence is alive and it is doing well, despite what the media is telling you. And that's so important that I'm going to say it again. The American dream of financial independence is alive and it is doing well. So what is it that you have to do to take advantage of this great time to invest in real estate? You see, it's that very dream that brought you here tonight. It's a Thursday night. You could be at home with your friends or family. You could be out watching the NCAA tournament. You could be doing 100 different things. But you're here with me tonight for a reason. And that is to change something about your life. You see, I was always brought up in a home that said, if you get a good education and you work hard, you will be successful. By a show of hands, how many of us have heard that? Well, I did that. I worked really hard. I went through college and then to law school and then studied for the bar and passed the bar. And I got a job right out of law school because I worked hard. And do you know how much I made on that first attorney job? $24,000 a year. $100,000 of student loan debt to make $24,000 a year. On top of it, I had to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week as a litigation attorney to make that $24,000 a year. You see, I knew there had to be a better way. Because the old formula of get a good education, work hard, and you'll be successful doesn't work. Understand that the education I received is very valuable. I'm not in this room telling anybody, don't go to school, don't go to college. But understand how to use that information. And use it to your advantage. And do something a little bit different. How do I know it works? Because hundreds of people that have gone through my coaching program tell me it works. Thousands of people that sit in audiences just like this who put what I teach into action tell me it works. I get email and phone call after text telling me about the deals they've done because they have implemented the techniques I'm going to teach you here tonight, and I'm going to teach you more in depth on Saturday. Does that sound good? You guys excited? Let me ask again. You guys good? Excited? Excellent. This is interactive, people. But in order to do this, I'm going to ask a favor. You have to stop conforming. You have to stop doing what everybody else wants you to do. Schools make you conform. Parents make you conform. Society makes you conform. Bosses make you conform. Employers make you conform. Everybody is conforming you to tell you what is best for you and how you should act. But here's the difference. The people that are really successful are the people that don't conform. Bill Gates dropped out of college. Steve Jobs did the same thing. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for TV. Elvis Presley shook his hips a little differently. My wife would kill me if she saw me doing this right now. Understand that these people did things that society told them they couldn't do. And I'm here tonight to teach you that if you do the things I teach you to do, and you do them just a little differently, it'll change your perspective. As Chad told you, I live in Merritt Island, Florida, and we are the spring training home of the Washington Nationals. And there's about an 8 or 9-year-old boy that lives next to us. And about 2-3 weeks ago, he was outside in the backyard. He had his Nationals cap on. He had a wiffle ball and bat. And he is just playing, baseball with himself. I noticed that every time the wind blew, he would take off his cap and bow. Because he was pretending that the leaves rustling was the crowd cheering. So he's out there, and he's playing, and it must have been 30, 45 minutes. And then all of a sudden, and I'm kind of watching this unfold, he says, it's the bottom, and he's playing announcer too. He says, it's the bottom of the ninth. Bases are loaded. And his name's Brian. He says, and Brian's, up to bat for the Washington Nationals. And all of a sudden, he throws the ball up, he swings, and he misses. Strike one. Throws the ball up, swings, and he misses. Strike two. He says, the batter has 2 strikes on him. Bases loaded. Bottom of the 9th. Throws the ball up. Strike 3. He just kind of hangs his head. All of a sudden the wind blows. All of a sudden he takes his hat off and he goes, I am the greatest. I didn't even know I could pitch like that. You see, it's all a matter of perspective. Understand? If you change things just a little bit, if you change your perspective just a little, you can do things and become the greatest. Tonight and on Saturday, I'm going to tell you how to think about real estate differently. I'm going to teach you 4 things. I'm going to teach you, number 1, how to find leads differently. Number 2, I'm going to teach you how to analyze things differently. I was having a conversation out in the hall before this started tonight. Somebody told me they can't get apartment buildings to cash flow. And I'm here tonight to tell you that you can. Because you have to control it. And I'm going to teach you how to analyze them so that you do control it. I'm going to teach you how to negotiate differently. I'm going to teach you on Saturday, we're going to go in depth about neuro-linguistic programming, how to control both ends of the conversation. Remember I told you, you can't be with all the smiles and we stood up and applaud, and how you act towards people will determine how they react towards you. I'm going to teach you how to write your offers so that you can get no money down, 0% seller financing, and they will thank you for it. Does that sound awesome? But before we go, I want to talk about the most important thing there is. You will not hear another speaker talk about it. You will not hear another person teach it. You will not hear real estate investors ever mention it, and there's a reason for that. Do you know what that reason is? They can't sell it. The most important part of your investment career is not the how. The most important part of your investing is the why. Why are you here? Why do you want to invest? Why do you want a better life? Why do you want things to be different? What is it that's motivating you? What is it that is tearing at you to fire burning, to do something different? Is it to bring mom home from work? Is it to bring dad home too? Is it a dream vacation? Is it to send kids and grandkids to college? Is it to, whatever the dream is, it has to be a fire burning bright. And I'm here tonight to tell you that if you do not have a strong enough why, do not get in this business. Because this business is not always easy. It can be, but it can also be challenging at times. And if you don't have this strong enough perseverance, if you don't have a strong enough reason to do what you're doing, don't get into the business. And I don't mean that harshly, but I mean that you have to have this foundation. You have to have a reason to build on the how. How many of us have been to seminars before? Raise your hand. How many of us have been to meetings like this before? Raise our hands. How many of us have been to a bookstore and gone to the business section and looked at all of the how to be successful books before? Raise your hands. Look at almost everybody in the room raised your hand at something. You see, if the how was that easy, everybody would do it. We call this mad how disease. All right, nobody's laughing. I will take that joke out. But understand it's serious. We have people that go to seminar after seminar after seminar. They buy book and CD and DVD after DVD and CD and book and class after class. But I'm here tonight to tell you, don't do that. Figure out what your why is. This is my why. My wife and I, last September, celebrated our 15th anniversary. Thank you. And while we were out to dinner for our anniversary, we ordered, and then right before the meal came, she looked at me and she said, Chris, she goes, are you comfortable in our marriage? I said, that's kind of an odd question. I said, okay, Gina, yes, I am comfortable in our marriage. Why? Which is probably the wrong question to ask, right? She says, because after being married to you for 15 years, she says, I figured out the 4 ways to a happy marriage. And I looked at her and I said, I really don't like where this is going. I said, okay, Gina, tell me, what are the 4 ways to a happy marriage? She says, number 1, find a man that cooks and cleans. I hear all the ladies going, yeah. Number 2, find a man that's good in the bedroom. And number 3, find a man that's well-to-do. And she paused. And she didn't say anything. I said, okay, Gina, what's the 4th way to a happy marriage? She says, making sure the 3 of you never meet. I was trying to figure out which one I was. I was hoping to be number 2. I think I'm just number 3. But understand that these 2 young ladies are my why. You see, because you heard that, I was an attorney. But it wasn't always that way. I grew up in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. I have 4 brothers and sisters. Obviously, my mother and father. We had 7 people that lived in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. My father had a high school education. He had to work 3 jobs to support us. Try getting bathroom time with 4 ladies in the house. Understand, I tell you this, because understanding where you come from can be one of the motivating factors. One of the challenges I just told you was my dad worked 3 jobs. He had to do that to provide us with the lifestyle he wanted to provide us, and I am forever grateful for that. But one of the challenges with that comes along with that is I never got to see him. He was always working. And I didn't get to know my father as much as I would have liked. And my father always had 2 phrases. I'm going to do this when I win the lottery, and I'm going to do this when I retire. Well, he never won the lottery, and he never got to retire. He died at the age of 58, unexpectedly. And I'm firmly believing that the reason he passed so early is because he was working so hard that his body just gave out. And I swore that I didn't want that to happen to me. Yet when I got my first job as an attorney, even though it was only 1 job, it was still taking up just as much time. My kids were going to a babysitter at 7 a.m. and getting picked up at 6 p.m. I didn't want somebody else raising my children. And I made a firm commitment to change that. And even as I was going through the ranks and making a little bit more and more money as an attorney, I was still giving up more and more of my time. You see, ladies and gentlemen, this business is not about money. This business is not about wealth. This business is about one thing and one thing only, and that is getting back your time to spend it with who you want, when you want, and where you want. Real estate is just a tool to get you where you want to go. And if you're in this business for money, you're in this business for the wrong reasons. Now, I know you're probably saying, Chris, what does this have to do with owner financing and 0% interest? I'm going to tell you here tonight, it has everything to do with 0 down and 0% seller financing. Because if you don't have this foundation, if you don't have this motivation, if you don't have the right reasons to do this business the right way, the how doesn't matter. And I want you to understand, we're going to get to the how right now. I promise you. But understand that the how is the secondary part. You see, I don't care if you do my method. I don't care if you do Robin Thompson's method of rehabbing. I don't care if you do a wholesaling. I don't care what you do. I don't care how you choose. I don't care what niche you choose. The very first thing you need to do is figure out why. And if you can do that, the how becomes easy. If you have a strong enough reason, the how becomes easy. Who here remembers these headlines? In 4 years, property values quadruple. Homeowners begin to panic and then properties flood the market. Thousands of homeowners left holding the bag. Many had to file bankruptcy. Raise your hand if you remember that. That's all? What are the rest of you doing for the last 8 years? But here's the thing, even the people that raise their hand, guess what? You don't remember this. Because these were the headlines from a newspaper in the 1920s. You see, real estate is cyclical. It has its ups and it has its downs. And right now is the time. You are never going to see a better opportunity in your lifetime to invest in real estate than right now. And if you're not willing to take action now, if you're not willing to dive into the water rather than dipping the toe into the water, you're missing out on the greatest opportunity you will ever see in your lifetime. I know this because I see it happening. You see, I've been an investor since '97. I saw the ups or the downs of the '90s. I saw the ups and evening out in the early 2000s. I saw the skyrocket in 03, 04, 05. And I saw the crash of 06, 07, 08. And I was heavily involved in real estate. And I lost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm not talking just equity, I'm talking cash. But you see, if you buy property the right way, if you have a portfolio designed the right way, you can survive any market. I love this photo. It says, for those of you who can't read in the back, it says new townhome, price reduced, now only $1, 0 down, 0% financing. The family says, no thanks, we're holding off to see how much lower the market will go before jumping in. How many of us in this room feel that way? That you're waiting and on the sidelines. You're afraid to take those first steps. You're afraid to take action. Those of you that come on Saturday, I promise you I will be giving away literally thousands of dollars of free things. Who here likes free? The rest of you, I guess we won't see you. Who here would like a software program that can find properties that no other investors are finding? Raise your hand. I'm going to be giving away software system on Saturday that will allow you to find properties that are free and clear and have huge amounts of equity. How many people now would like to come on Saturday? The rest of you can just go now. I'm going to teach you 4 things. I have a course that I teach. It's called Simple Real Estate. So many times in this business, we complicate things. When we don't know something, we tend to overcomplicate it. And what I'm going to show you tonight, and what I'm going to show you on Saturday, is that if you do these 4 things, and if you do them well, and you do them consistently, you don't have to do anything else to be successful. This is my formula. L stands for leads. We're going to go over all of these. Not just any lead. the right kind of lead. I say loan with a twist because we actually, the A stands for analyze. We do that second. O stands for offer. We're going to teach you how to write the offers. And N stands for negotiation. The reason I say loan with a twist and the O is before the A because L-A-O-N doesn't spell anything. Let's talk about lead generation. The first thing I want to talk to you about tonight is how to generate the right kind of leads. If you are looking for owner financing deals, if you are looking for people with equity to be able to owner finance you, does it make sense to have realtors send you REO listings? Does it make sense to have realtors send you short sale listings? Does it make sense to have realtors send you REOs and short sale listings? No. Then why have them do it? Yet every other investor, most of you in this room, are looking for what right now? REOs and short sales. And I'm saying get rid of them. We don't want them. We want people that have high equity. We want people that their properties have sat on the market for long periods of time. We want people who are fixated on price. We want people that are in their mid-50s to early 60s. And we're going to go over all of these in depth and how you find them. But understand that if you can find the right kind of leads and the right kind of people, it becomes an easy process because there is no competition. I want you to write this phrase down. Price is almost irrelevant. Price is almost irrelevant. I don't care about the price. You guys want me to prove it to you? Thank you in the back. I appreciate that. The front's still writing things down. Zach, I'm Chris. Hey, Chris. Nice to meet you. Zach, are you an investor here locally? Yes. Okay. Can you tell me what the average 3-bedroom, 2-bath house would go for in this particular area? Wholesale is about $60,000. Okay, where you have $60,000, $65,000. Okay. Zach, you have a property for sale for $70,000. Okay? Follow me? Zach, I want to buy that property and I want to pay you $4 million for it. Sold. Sold. I just bought a property for $4 million that should sell for $70,000 and Zach's thrilled. But Zach didn't read my offer. My offer is, Zach, I'm going to give you $4 a day for 1,000,000 days. Right? He's thrilled. He's got a property for $4 million. It should have sold for $70,000. I'm thrilled because I just negotiated a $120 a month payment. Think I can cash flow that? Price doesn't matter. Yet, I will tell you that 95% of all people who want to sell their home are fixated on one thing and one thing only, and that's the price. And price doesn't matter. I just overpaid by $3,990,000 for a house here in Charlotte, and I'm thrilled. Zach's thrilled. You see how quickly we accepted? Who here would like to learn how we do this and make money at it? Raise your hand. Good. Come Saturday. Because I will tell you, and JC knows this, I am a firm believer of action. The people that sign up and take action first get rewarded. And they get rewarded immensely. Last time I gave away $30,000 free coaching program. Who here would like that? In addition, because of what we're doing and doing things differently, JC mentioned I wasn't going to pay for dinner. Last time I was up here, because I'm up here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I usually don't do anything on Friday. Actually, JC and I usually go out to dinner. He treats me to Charlotte's Best Barbecue, right? And last time we were out to dinner, and we had a nice conversation, and it came time for the check, and he didn't make a move for it. And I was like, well, you invited me out to dinner. And I thought, okay, well, I start to reach for it, and he goes, I was just kidding. He goes, I'll take care of it. So, but I didn't want to go through that again. So I knew JC was going to ask me out to dinner. So I thought, well, how can I get out of it? Right, JC? So I said, JC, why don't we do this? Why don't we, because the seminar here tonight is 90 minutes. The seminar on Saturday is 8 hours. But 8 hours is a very short period of time to teach everything we need to teach. And it does not allow for a lot of time to get questions answered. Does that make sense? So what I thought we would do, and I cleared it with JC, is we will have a bonus session tomorrow night. All information, no sales, no nothing. I will have a bonus topic for a short period of time, and then I will open up the floor, and you can get any answer you want answered, no questions asked. Does that sound awesome? Is that pretty good? Now I'm giving up Charlotte's Best Barbecue. So I hope your attendance I hope it is well attended. We're going to do it right here in this room from 6 to 8. No additional charge, no requirements, all information. I hope to see you there. Does that sound awesome? Okay. Let's talk about lead generation versus lead capture. Lead generation to me is you put a phone number down, maybe a website, maybe an email, whatever it is you do, and you post it on Craigslist, Postlets, on a yard sign, and then you take calls, right? You get call after call when you have a house for sale or a house for rent. And you're scrambling around for a piece of paper. You're scrambling around for a pen. Some of you are driving, trying to do this at the same time. You're trying to answer questions. And then all of a sudden you answer one question, and they don't like your answer, and then they hang up, and you've just wasted all your time, right? How many of us do that? A lot of you, okay? I have a lead capture system, and we're going to show you how it works tonight. And it can automate your business to the point that you don't have to take any time. Everybody pull out your cell phones. Pull them out. I know they told you to turn them off, but I want you to turn them on. And I want you to go to your texting section where you would send a text message. And I want you to type this number, and this is where the phone number would be. 71813. 71813. It's 5 numbers. I know phone numbers are usually 7, but this is only 5. 71813. Then I want you to go into the body of the text where you would normally type your message. And I want you to type the word home, H-O-M-E, and the number's 4884. Home 4884. And I want you to hit send. And when somebody gets a response, I want you to raise your hand. All right, what's your name?
Nelson.
Nelson, come on. Mind stand up for me?
Text message.
Come on, Nelson. Everybody give Nelson a round of applause. All right, Nelson, what does the message say?
1734 Avocado Avenue, $550, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 750 square feet. Oak Haven Apartments, there's a phone number,
Yep.
321-501-1855. Reply 1 for more information, photos at website.
Thank you very much. And Nelson, for participating, I'm going to give you our free lead capture system. Please see them in the back, okay? Give them a round of applause. What information did all of you who sent that text just get? See all the FAQs, the frequently asked questions. Okay? How much time did that take for me? 0. How many people sent the message? Raise your hand. I want to see how many. Okay, about 50 people sent it, and I didn't have to do anything to respond to it. Now, if they call me at that phone number, what are they? They're a qualified lead, right? They have all of the pertinent information they need and have made a decision to research it further. What's the other thing that happened right now? I just captured every one of your phone numbers in a centralized database that I can use over and over again. I promise you I will not use it. It is simply to show you that there are systems out there that you can utilize information over and over. Now, every time I have an apartment for rent in that apartment, what can I do? I can do a blast out. What do renters become? Home buyers. What if I had an entry-level house for sale? Do you think I might be able to send a blast out to all the people who ever inquired about my rentals? Who here would like to know how to do that via email as well? For free. Come on Saturday. Who here would like to be able to do that with telephone as well? Raise your hand. Understand this premise. You have to have a centralized system. You have to have a centralized database that you can use over and over and over again. Furthermore, you have to communicate with people in the manner in which they want to be communicated to. How does the older generation like to communicate? By telephone. How does the middle generation like to communicate? Email. How does the younger generation like to communicate? Text. Okay? We teach you how to advertise to everybody. You know, I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she had her friends over, and it was a pizza party, and they're by the pool. And they're all sitting around the pool, and they all have their phones out, and they're all, playing with the gadget. And I walked out, I said, Hannah, I said, what are you doing? She goes, we're talking to each other. I said, no, you're not. I said, you're texting each other. She goes, yeah, but we don't want each other to know what each other is saying. I said, put the phones down and talk. But you see, the reason I tell that is that's how the younger generation communicates. Who are your first-time home buyers and renters? They're the younger generation. If you don't have a way to communicate with them, they're not hitting your marketing. And we're going to teach you how to do this, and we're going to teach you how to do this for free. Does that sound good? Does that sound good? Does that sound good? Excellent. Anybody know what the top 5 media are in this country? Number 5 is Twitter. Number 4 is Facebook. Number 3 is email. Number 2 is radio. Number 1 is TV. If you don't have the communication set up for all of these different media, you're missing out. You're missing out on leads. You're missing out on the right opportunities. Facebook, if it was a country, would be the 3rd largest country in the world. Most people read 6 blogs a day. People between the ages of 18 and 34 spend 40% of their free time on social networks. Why are they important? Because that's your renters and first-time home buyers. The fastest growing social network users are between the ages of 50 and 75. Why is this important? They're private lenders, and they are the don't-wanters. They're the people that are ready to sell their property. They're also the people that have held their property the longest. They're also the people with the most equity. It used to be if you wanted to meet this group, you had to go down to the local McDonald's at breakfast time because they got discounted coffee. Now they're having their coffee at home and sitting on the social networks. You have to understand the right kind of leads and how we generate them. Let's look at deals. How do we do it? I love this quote. I'll always remember this is the night Michael Jordan and I combined for 70 points. Stacey King. Stacey King was a member of the Chicago Bulls with the great Chicago Bulls teams with Michael Jordan. It's also the night Michael scored 69. I love this quote for two reasons. Number one, it's funny. Number two, as good as Michael was that night, he still couldn't have won the game on his own. He still needed his team around him. And what we're going to teach you to do is build the right team. And if you build the right team, the leads come to you. Because this is about OPT and OPM. Other people's time, other people's money. Because you'll be amazed to know that I spend less than 10 hours a week on my investment business. Why? Because I have the right team in place. Last week, I got 4 leads on apartment buildings that we're going to buy alone. And I didn't have to lift a finger because we have the right team in place. And this topic is called the power of zero for a reason. And you're going to find out now why. You're going to find out why JC and the board wanted me to come back. Because we had people that went through my program, we had people that were very successful right from this organization 2 years ago. You're going to find out why this is important. If you have calculators, get them out. Because this is the crux of what we do. This is the math behind it. This is what's going to tell you how powerful it is, what my system does. This is the highlight of the talk. Have I got your attention? Have I got your attention? All right. This is a 14-unit apartment building. It's located in Melbourne, Florida. When this property hit my desk, it had been on the market for 121 days. When you hear the deal, you're going to wonder why it sat for so long. Do you remember me telling you that we're going to be doing things differently so that other investors aren't even going to be your competition? Remember that? This is it. This is why. This apartment grosses about $8,000 a month in rent. A couple had owned it since the late 80s, which tells you what? They have equity and they're getting a little bit older. It had about a 50% vacancy rate, which means what? Being mismanaged. Why do you think it sat on the market so long? Price. Who said price? Thank you. It was overpriced. What do you think every other investor was doing with their offers on this property? Lowball. The rehabbers and wholesalers have that dreaded formula. 65% of R minus repairs, right? Okay? What do you think everybody was offering them? 65% of R minus repairs. Why do you think they weren't accepting it? Because they wanted what? Price. What did I teach you a little bit earlier? Price is almost what? Irrelevant. Do I care about price? What did I give them? Their price. I gave them their price. If you have all these other investors coming in and giving them lowball offers and lower what they're asking, what do you think their reaction is when I give them their price? The same as Zach here. Yes. Right? Why do you think they were holding on to this? What did they like from the property? They liked the money coming in. Take this down. We are not in the real estate business. We are in the problem-solving business. If you know what the problem is, you can solve it. The problem was they couldn't manage it anymore. They were mismanaging it, but they wanted income. And they wanted their price. So what did we do? We crafted an offer that did what? Gave them cash flow, and we took away the headache of management, right? So we said, and I'm going to get into portfolio objective a lot on Saturday. Everybody's portfolio objective is different. My portfolio objectives, just so you know, because it's relevant to this, is I want $40,000 net income per month by the age of 50. Okay? And when I made an offer on this property, I was 40 years old. What does that tell you? That I want to get this thing free and clear as quickly as possible, right? So I made them an offer. Remember, it was $8,000 cash flow per month, or gross rents per month. I said, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I will give you $5,000 per month. Well, you start taking out taxes, insurance, repairs, etc. Does that leave me a lot of cash flow? No. Okay? But what's my objective? Get it free and clear, right? Do I care about cash flow right now? If you do care about cash flow, could you have made an offer lower than $5,000? Absolutely. Okay? It's all based on portfolio objectives. So my offer was, I will give you 10% down. I will pay you $5,000 a month for 120 months. The purchase price was $740,000. I put $70,000 down, a little less than 10%, which left me a balance of what? $670,000, right? Everybody see that? Writing this down? It's important. So if I made payments of $5,000 a month for 120 months, what does that total? $600,000. At the end of 10 years, how much do I owe on a 14-unit apartment complex? $70,000. We're going to teach you how to write this offer so that the wording is correct so that they accept this, okay? Now, let's see, do you think it's valuable to be able to get a 14-unit apartment building free and clear in 10 years? Do you think so? Okay. If rents don't go up in the next 10 years, and that's a big if, right? If rents don't go up in the next 10 years, I will have a gross rental income of $96,000 a year from this one deal. Who here could add, who would like an extra $96,000 a year? Whose lifestyle would change a little bit if you had an extra $96,000 a year? Raise your hand. Understand this. So many people come up and they tell you, and they speak in front of you, or they teach, you hear them, they're doing deal after deal after deal after deal after deal. I'm here tonight to tell you, you don't have to do a lot of deals. You just have to do a few deals the right way. Because when these properties become free and clear in 3, 5, 7, 10 years, they're providing you with an income for life. I have a 34-year-old student. His name's Christian. I'll show you what he did on Saturday. But he is 34 years old. He bought 5 properties that will be free and clear in 5 years. By the age of 39, he will have 5 properties paying him for the rest of his life. Does that sound pretty powerful? Let me show you the real numbers. This is where you're going to need your calculators. Anybody have a financial calculator? Okay. Wendell, would you run $670,000 at 6% interest for 30 years? Okay. How much interest would I have paid over 30 years? $776,000 that I would have paid in interest over a 30-year period. By overpaying by about $40,000, I saved $760,000 of interest. Is that pretty impressive? Then why aren't you clapping? Price doesn't matter. You're not done yet, Wendell. Pull it back out. If I have a property and I finance it through a bank or traditional financing, when is it free and clear? 30 years. If I structure deals like I did here, when is this one free and clear? 10 years, right? So I have 20 years of free and clear rent that I would not have otherwise had if I finance it traditionally. Wendell, you're up. You ready? 8,000, because that's the gross rents, right? Times 12, because that's 1 year, times 20. $1.9 million in my pocket, not somebody else's. You combine that with the $700,000 I saved in interest, and by overpaying for a property by $40,000 or $50,000, I put $2.6 million in my pocket. And how does that sound now? And understand, this is one deal. I want to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, and again, this goes back to a couple conversations I had in the hall beforehand, where people have been financing things traditionally through banks, okay? Now that you know the numbers, I want you to think about this thought. When you're driving through downtown Charlotte, and you look at all those high-rise buildings, whose names are on top of those buildings? The banks. Why? Because they are making millions of dollars off of you because of the way they structure financing. I would rather you put millions of dollars in your pocket and not the bank's. I have not used a bank in over 5 years for any deal whatsoever because I know that I could put $2.6 million in my pocket rather than theirs. There is a reason most of the banks in every major downtown area is owned by the banks. You see, when you control how you analyze things, you control the deals. If you go to a bank, who determines how much money you can borrow? If you go to a bank, who controls the interest rate? Therefore, if you go to a bank for a loan, who is controlling your cash flow? Who wants to control their own cash flow? As you can see, I'm passionate about this because I'm tired of banks making all the money. But see, that's how I started out. I started out doing the things everybody in this room is doing. I did a prehab, rehab. I took that money as a down payment. I went and got a traditional loan. I bought fourplexes and duplexes. And you know what I've noticed? Some of those are still in my portfolio. Yet I will tell you that properties 5 times their price have more equity in the last 4 years than those did 10, 15 years ago when I started. My father-in-law is the chief economist at Cleveland State University. When I taught him how to do this, he was floored. He couldn't believe how quickly that amortization schedule went down versus his. Chief economist, head of the economy department at a major university. And you know what really gets me is when people refinance. They lure you in with lower interest rates, lower monthly payments. But what are they doing? They're bringing you back to payment one, where the majority of that payment is what? Interest. They're keeping you bound. We get so attracted by a lower interest rate and a lower payment that we don't see the real numbers behind the amortization schedule. Understand that when you do things differently, when you control the analysis, when you take your gross rents, when you take off your expenses, and we're going to go through live examples. I promise you, we can do it tomorrow night, we can do it Friday, whatever you want. If there's a realtor in the room, and you want to bring me an MLS listing, we'll go over it. Does that sound great? I promise you that when you get seller financing, when you find the right properties, when you determine how much you will pay the seller, you control your cash flow. Somebody told me out in the holler that they can't get their properties to cash flow, or they can't find apartments to cash flow. And I promise you this, every deal can cash flow. Every deal can cash flow. If you control the analysis. Retirement's one lead away, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. We're going to go over this example a little bit here today. But I'm going to show you, people always say, well, Chris, how if I don't have any money and I don't have a lot of experience, how can I do deals like this? And on Saturday, I'm going to show you what's called the three offer scenario, and it goes along with the 5-touch approach. Okay? And I will promise you this, that if you employ the 5-touch approach and you do the 3 offer scenario, you can do these deals and have no money and no credit and make it happen. In fact, most of the people that go through my coaching program are coming out of the recession from in a worse way. They're credit shot, they have no money, and they're doing deals. In fact, I have a guarantee with my coaching program that if you enter the coaching program and you do what you're supposed to do, you do all the homework, you generate leads, you do everything you're supposed to do, and you don't do a deal exactly as I have shown you here tonight, and I'm going to show you on Friday and Saturday, I will coach you for free until you do. Does that sound like a pretty good guarantee? That's how confident I am about our system. I promise you that you will do a deal exactly like we have shown here tonight, and we will show more on Saturday. And if you don't, I'll coach you for free till you do. How many other people are willing to stand behind their system that way? Not many, if any. Let's talk about the offer. What do you think would happen if I walked up to someone and I said, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm sorry, what's your name, Randy?
Yes.
I'm Chris, nice to meet you. Randy, I want to buy your house, mobile home, apartment building, whatever you have, and I want you to give me 90% seller financing. I'm only going to put 10% down, and by the way, I'm not going to give you any interest on your money. What would you say, Randy?
I don't think I'm interested.
Not interested, right? Not interested. So, should we write our offer that way? No. You see, I want you to write this down. You can control not only how you communicate, but you can control how the other person communicates back to you. Want me to prove it? Do you want me to prove it? Hi, I'm Chris.
Jack.
Nice to meet you, Jack. Hi, I'm Chris McClatchey.
I'm Virginia. Me.
Thank you. What just happened? What just happened? When I introduced myself to Jack, I said, my name's Chris. What did he give me back? His first name. When I introduced myself to Virginia Meek as Chris McClatchey, what did she do? You see, I controlled that. You see how she was a little hesitant at first to give me the last name? But what did I do? I just stood, stared at her, and waited. Because deep down, she knew what I wanted. And what we're going to teach you on Saturday is how to control communication. We're going to teach you how to write your offer to take the focus off of what I want, which is what I explained to Randy. What I want is 10% down or no money down, 90% seller financing, and I want 0% interest. That's what I want, right? And what was Randy's reaction? No way, because I'm telling Randy what I want. You see, we're going to teach you to write your offer so that I don't tell Randy what I want. I'm telling Randy what Randy gets. Does that make sense? You see, if you take the focus off of yourself and you put the focus on the seller and highlighting what they get, all of a sudden they're not thinking about what they're giving up. What are they thinking about? What they get. And we have language, specific language, in our contracts that we use to take the focus off of the 0%, of the no money down, of what we really want, and we put the focus on what the seller receives. And therefore, we open up a receptive communication. Does that make sense? Does that sound awesome?
Yeah.
Here's my promise to you. And this is my promise to you. I promise you that if you come on Saturday, I will tell you the exact language we use. I don't always do that because it is proprietary. It is us learning these systems over years of investing to find out what works. We went through many offers that didn't work until we put the system together, put the correct wording together so that it does work. And I promise you that if you come on Saturday, you will leave that seminar knowing exactly what language we use word for word. Does that sound awesome? Does that sound awesome?
Oh, yeah.
Here's the other thing. JC, what are you charging to get in Saturday? Okay, here's the deal. If I don't deliver on everything I promise you here tonight, and what I promise you is you will know how to find the leads, you will know how to analyze, you will know the exact wording of the offer, and we will teach you how to negotiate. If I don't fulfill those 4 things, I will personally repay your admission fee. Not Metroline is not going to pay it, I will pay it. That's how confident I am that you will leave that seminar knowing exactly what to do in this business. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? We're also going to teach you hybrid models. Write that down, hybrid models. And what hybrid models are is when you have a seller that is absolutely adamant about wanting interest. And you're going to find them, okay? Because not everybody is going to want to do 0% financing, right? But when you do 0% financing, what is the purpose behind the 0% financing? To get it free and clear as quickly as possible, right? It brings the equity down quickly. And remember, we don't care about slightly overpaying for properties because if you get the 0% equity, you get so much equity so quickly, right? But you're going to run into some sellers that are adamant about interest. And there are models that we can use, and there's a method that we use in order to get what we want, which is a quick equity buy down, okay, and give them interest, but do it in a way that it is not nearly as damaging to us as a traditional amortization schedule. Does that make sense? Everybody see this property here? This is the house I live in. It is on the Intercoastal Waterway in Florida, and it cost me $1 million. Those of you that know me, or those of you that have met me, know that I am not a $1 million house kind of guy. I'm not. I drive an F-150. We are very modest in what we have. We don't splurge. We don't do a lot of things. And when we were looking for this $1 million house, we were also looking at $200,000 houses, $300,000 houses. We even made an offer on a $150,000 house. You see, because we weren't looking at price. We were looking for specific types of sellers. Does that make sense? Now, don't get me wrong. I like living in my $1 million house. Okay? And people are here saying, well, I could never do that. People are saying, that's not me. I could never afford that. Let me ask you a question. Who here, after teaching you what I've taught you so far tonight, believe that they could live in $1 million house? Raise your hand. The rest of you haven't listened very well. Because everybody is so focused on what? $1 million. But if you control what the offer is, price becomes what? Irrelevant. You see, we have all these arbitrary obstacles in our head. We have all these arbitrary numbers and beliefs. And I'm here tonight to tell you that the number one reason you are not successful is because of you, not because of the deal. And you have to get rid of these obstacles. You have to get rid of these societal conforming thoughts. Everyone in this room can own $1 million house. Heck, I offered Zach $4 million and had a $120 a month payment, right? Who here can afford a $120 payment per month? Well, you can buy Zach's $4 million house. 10% down. Smart. Now you're getting it. Understand that we look for specific types of sellers. And this particular seller was willing to do what we wanted as far as terms. And what I will tell you, and I don't know that I have time to go into the actual hybrid model, but what we did is we negotiated, and I'll go over the exact numbers to show you what they mean Saturday, but we took 0% interest for the first 10 years. She wanted 4% interest on her money. Is that a pretty good interest rate? Still a really good interest rate, right? So what I said is, I don't want to pay interest. You want interest. So how about this? For the first 10 years, we're going to get 0% interest. And then we're going to take the balance at the end of 10 years, and I'm not going to give you 4% interest. I'll give you 5%. And we'll amortize it over 30 years and a balloon in 15. So I got 15 years of owner financing, the first 10 of which is 0%. Is that a pretty good deal? Here's the key, and again, I'm going to go over more numbers. I'm getting the old sign, and we're almost done here tonight. If I make the payments as scheduled, okay, for the first 10 years and then for the next 5, I will only owe $270,000 on my $1 million house after 15 years. Is that pretty impressive? But here's the key, and I'll go into numbers more. My payment drops by $3,300 at the end of 10 years. Because why? Because I'm not basing the loan on the $1 million purchase. I'm basing the loan at the balance of the end of 10 years. You see, paying 4% on $1 million is a lot different than paying $300,000 at 5% interest. Make sense? So what would happen if I just continued to pay that extra $3,300 a month rather than taking the dropped payment? What does that $3,300 go to? Principal. So if I continue to pay $3,300 for the next 5 years, my property's free and clear in 15 years. And on a $1 million house, we will have paid roughly about $70,000 of interest total. What bank do you think would make that loan? Now, who here believes that they can own a $1 million house? Raise your hand. You should. You can. And understand, it's not about a $1 million house. It's about your house. It's about what you want. It's about the house you want. It's about the lifestyle you want. And we're going to teach you these hybrid models. We're going to teach you how to negotiate them. That's the picture I took from the back of my house. Every morning, that's what my bedroom looks out to. I am very thankful, very grateful. I'm grateful for a lot of people because this has all come to a culmination through 15 years of experience in investing. And a lot of people helped shape me and mold me along the way. Started out with my parents, good work ethic. I had a couple mentors along the way. I had one really good coach along the way. I had a lot of great people in my RIA. I belong to Central Florida Realty Investors Association. It's the sister RIA of Charlotte and Orlando. And I had a lot of people there that I could ask questions to. A lot of great board members, like the board members you have here. Okay? There are a lot of great investors that help shape and mold. And I'm forever grateful that we were able to do some of the things we're doing. But see, I have a belief that you do things, you're in this, how can I say this? This business is about relationships, ladies and gentlemen. You have to do things ethically and morally correct. If you don't do things ethically and morally correct and in the right way, you are not going to be in this business very long. You're going to develop a reputation of the wrong kind. Okay? This business is about developing relationships, and it's about doing things the right way. And if you can, along with that, one of my beliefs is that if you help enough other people achieve what they want, I in turn will achieve what I want. And that's one of the reasons I teach. Okay? JC knows. I only do this presentation about 4 or 5 times a year. I'm not one of these speakers that travels around the country every 2 weeks. Okay? I'm not here to sell a product. Okay? I'm here to sell a way of life. I'm here to sell a mindset. I'm here to sell a system that I employ. I'm not talking about the deals I did 10 years ago. I'm not talking about the deals I did 15 years ago. I'm talking about deals that work in this market. I'm going to talk to you about a deal on Saturday that I closed 4 days ago. Whatever Friday was. No. 6 days ago. Losing track of days. Okay? These are and what's more important? You see, I sat in audiences just like you. I still sit in audiences just like you. Okay? There was a time when I went to meetings to learn. I still go to meetings to learn to a certain extent. But I was always a DIYer. I was always a do-it-yourselfer. Nobody could do it better than I could. And it wasn't until I learned that I needed other people's help to achieve what I wanted in order to make it happen. But I always had one criteria I used about whether or not I would listen to the speaker in what he or she had to say. And that criteria was this: is the information transferable? Anybody can stand up in the front of the room and tell you about all the great deals they did. Anybody can stand up in the front of the room and tell you about how great their system is or how great their product is. But the critique that I used is that information, is that system, is what the speaker is telling me transferable, meaning can I do it? And I've always found that to be a very successful filter. So on Saturday, I am not going to just wow you with all the deals I've done. I am going to go over 7, 8, 9 deals that my students have done. And I'm even going to teach a method of the system that I didn't come up with. I'm going to teach a couple of methods that my students taught me. Because I want you to know that what I am teaching you on Saturday is transferable. You can walk out of that seminar on Saturday and do exactly what we're doing here. How awesome is that? Also on Saturday, I'm going to teach you how to negotiate. We're going to go over the 7 techniques of negotiation. We're going to show, again, how we take the focus off of what we want and put the focus on what they get. And most importantly, do you think that when you start presenting these types of offers, you may get some objections from realtors and sellers? You might. Because, for the most part, and I'm sorry, realtors, don't get too offended, but realtors think one way and one way only. Okay? I'm a realtor, so I can offend myself. Okay? And this is a little bit different. This is a little outside the box. Okay? Understand that we're going to teach you, and this is probably the most important part of negotiations. We're going to teach you how to overcome those objections. We're going to teach you some common objections you're going to get, and we're going to teach you how to overcome them. Does that make sense? We're also going to teach you how to negotiate on an item-by-item basis. What I mean by that is how you counter certain offers. If they counter you on price, if they counter you on interest, if they counter you on the amount of payment and cash flow, how you counter that successfully to maintain your portfolio objective. And I'm going to go over this deal in detail, but this is a funny story. I have a realtor. Do you guys remember the 14-unit apartment building I showed before? The listing agent, wasn't my agent, it was the listing agent on that deal. He saw the types of deals we were doing. He was the seller's agent, yet after we had that closing, he called me. He goes, I really like what you're doing. He goes, there's a lot of properties out there I can't sell as a realtor because they're overpriced. But he got it. The light bulb went on, right? He says, I have a 12-unit apartment building that you may be interested in. Is this my team member? No, it's somebody else's team member, right? I said, okay, Paul. I said, tell me about the deal. He says, well, this is a 12-unit apartment complex. The guy's willing to own or finance, but he wants 8% interest. Okay? I said, Paul, you know how I do deals. I don't pay interest. He says, I know. He goes, I know. He goes, just submit your offer the way you submit it, and we'll see what happens. So I said, okay. So I submit the offer, $425. I gave him his asking price, right? Price is almost what? But I did 0% instead of 8. Paul comes back to me and he goes, Chris, he goes, he'll take your $425, but he wants 8% interest. I said, well, Paul, I don't want to pay interest. I said, offer him $450, but 0% interest. Paul comes back and he says, he'll take your $450, but he wants 8% interest. True story. How many of us investors would have quit at that time? A lot of us. Okay? A lot of us would. I said, Paul, offer him $475 at 0% interest. Paul came back to me and he says, he'll take it. You ready? Do $425 at 8% interest. How much interest would I have paid? $697,000. You see, I negotiated from a knowledge level of the numbers. He was negotiating on what? Price. You see, I overpaid by $50,000. But I saved $697,000. And we teach you how to know these numbers because I will tell you that the very first negotiating thing you have to know is this. The person with the most information wins. And I had the most information. I knew my numbers. And he was so focused on getting $50,000 more than what he was asking that he screwed up because he gave up $697,000 of interest. Furthermore, the way we negotiate, this thing's going to be free and clear in 8.3 years. Which means I have 21.7 years of free and clear rent coming in my pocket rather than somebody else's. It's a turnaround of millions. All because we know our numbers. And we are going to show you how to negotiate from a position of authority, from a position of knowledge, and how you can take that knowledge and do deals like this. This property has a gross rental income of roughly $6,000 a month. 6,000 times 12, $72,000 a year. Here could use an extra $72,000 a year. Raise your hand. If you did this building and the 14 unit, you'd have $160,000 a year coming in on 2 deals. You don't need to do a lot of deals to be successful. People come up to me all the time and they say, Chris, how many deals per year are you doing? I say, I don't know, maybe 3, maybe 4 deals. And their jaw drops and they look at me like, I thought you were successful. And I am. But understand, it's not the number of deals you do. It's the number of deals that you do the right way. You see, ladies and gentlemen, you only have to do a couple deals a year, and you can change your world. How many people here would like to work 10 hours a week? Raise your hand. Both hands, good. This is actually somebody from this organization wrote me this. February 28, 2011. I guess it was 3 years ago I was here. 14, right? Yeah. I would like to thank you for having a seminar that actually gave out specific instruction on how to make money. I've been to several seminars, and I must admit I was expecting to waste my money once again. Wow, was I wrong, thank the Lord. I now actually know how to do a deal with no money down. Till your seminar, I thought it was impossible. Many speakers have said it, but none will show you how it can actually be done. There was much more valuable information than I expected. I am ready and motivated to grow because I have found my why and my know-how. I'm already building my team less than 24 hours after your seminar. Roger Krasiak, Salisbury, North Carolina, 3 years ago attended this very seminar. It works, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to understand that you have to view this business as a marathon. It is not a sprint. You have to understand that things are going to be a little bit slower at first. But as you get going, as you get comfortable, as you get experience, as you start to understand the system, it begins to snowball. Understand that I have done more deals in the last year that, with the 0% financing and 0 down than I had in the previous 3. I think we're on apartment building number 9. We're closing on a 24-unit apartment building in 3 weeks. That will be deal number 10. I know that I focus on apartment buildings, but what we're teaching you can work on anything. It can work on mobile homes. It can work on single-family homes. We've bought duplexes and triplexes and quads this way. Because what we're teaching you is how to use a system that is based on your portfolio objective. Most new investors would be intimidated about a 24-unit apartment building, understand? But it's not just about apartment buildings. It's about any type of real estate you want to do. The very first deal we ever did, and I will show it to you on Saturday, was a single-family house. I've done a mobile home this way. Done apartment buildings in small ones. It doesn't matter what type of real estate you want to buy. This system works. And we're going to show you a website and a software that you can pull every property in this county, in this city, in this zip code, however you want to filter it, based on percentage of equity. How many people in here would like to know who the private lenders, all the private lenders are in this county? Raise your hand. What if I told you that software can do that? You can filter and find every private lender in this county, in this state, in this country. Because if you're generating leads the right way, if you're generating leads that make sense to you and your portfolio objective, you can be very successful. In a minute, I'm going to tell you a story as we close. But understand that I have one simple thing that I want you to do. I want you to take action. I want you to apply what you've learned tonight, what you're going to learn tomorrow night, and what you're going to learn specifically on Saturday. And I want you to do something with it. Why? Because if you don't, and I heard a statistic once, that about 87% of people who attend seminars and meetings like this never reread their notes after they leave the seminar. And to me, that's sad. Because you spent all night, all day, learning something, but you never applied it. You have to take action. You have to take and implement what you know if you want to change. Remember, we said at the beginning of the seminar or meeting tonight, you are here for a reason. Whatever that reason is, it's personal to you. But you want something different. You want something better. And if you want something different and something better, you have to do something different. And understand that if you do and take the action necessary, you can be very successful. I want to talk about Spencer West for a minute. Spencer West, at the age of 5, was diagnosed with a disease, and as a result, lost both of his legs. The doctors told Spencer's parents that he was going to be wheelchair bound for the rest of his life, that he would need constant supervision and constant medical attention for the rest of his life, and that his life, quality of life, would be severely diminished because of the loss of his legs. And it's a sad story. It could have been a sad story. But you see, Spencer's parents always taught him about the impossibilities and how to overcome them. You see, we all have fears. We all have obstacles in our life. Most of us are going to go out that door tonight. You're going to turn your cell phones on. You're going to see text messages and voicemails from family and friends and maybe coworkers or employees, and life's going to hit you in the face. You're going to go out of here tonight all excited about all the great information I taught you. You're going to go out here tonight and say, I'm going to do something different. And then we get out that door and we fall right back into the old habits. You see, I want you to overcome those obstacles. I want you to overcome those habits. And I want you to overcome them like Spencer West did. You see, Spencer West wanted to do something that everybody else was telling him it was impossible. And he trained, and he trained, and he trained. You can see him in the middle there, doing push-ups with no legs, strengthening his upper body, wanting to overcome what people told him couldn't be done. People told me, Chris, you can't do 0% financing. There's no way sellers are going to accept it. I get that question all the time. People go up to me and say, why would any seller accept that? There's no way anybody would do that. And I'm here tonight to tell you that if you know how to overcome those objections and how to overcome those obstacles, people will do it. And just like Spencer West was trying to overcome what people told him he couldn't be done, I promised it could be done. We just had to train our methods. We had to train our systems. We had to train our realtors. We had to train our teammates. Just like Spencer is training his upper body. He's not thinking about what he doesn't have. He's thinking about what he does have. And after all that training, he trained, and on his hands, he conquered Mount Kilimanjaro. He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro on his hands, wearing sandals on his hands. That's determination, ladies and gentlemen. That's overcoming objections. That's overcoming obstacles. I asked you at the beginning of this seminar, I asked you, why are you here? Is that fire burning bright enough? Is there a strong enough reason for you to do something different in your life? You're at a turning point. There's a reason that the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. Because if you're constantly looking into the past, if you're constantly looking into that rearview mirror, you're going to crash into something that's in front of you. It is important to look in the past. It's important to glance back at where you came from. It's important to look at the previous decisions you made to put you in the position you are here tonight. But what's more important is to look out that windshield. Look what's in front of you. And understand that the decisions you make tonight, the decisions you make going forward, will affect where you end up 5, 10, 15 years from now. I want you to be able to say, 5 years from now, not, I wished I had, but I'm glad I did. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'll be out to answer any questions.